sponsored by MOE's Innovation Cell, and we are indebted to AICT for providing this opportunity. Today's session shall include two lectures by the two resource persons. One by Ms. Deepika Dhar, IP Management and Technology Transfer Professional and IP Consultant for the Foundation for Innovation and Technology Transfer, IIT Delhi. The speaker number two is Mr. Tilak Dhar, Managing Director, Mobile Hospital Designers and Developers India Private Limited, Noida. I expect that today's lecture may sensitize and motivate students, attendees towards the innovation. It is expected that faculty may also inculcate the idea of innovation in themselves as well as their students. And I wish our institute is able to meet the expectations of the AICT to spark this idea of innovation and technology in all of us to bring the development for the mankind and humanity. The one thing which I would like to bring in the kind notice of the participants is that please ensure that you have joined from your name as registered and not by some other name to prevent any kind of chaos. You will be entitled to certificate if you attend both the sessions. There will be a feedback form provided at the end of the session which has to be filled mandatorily. And there will be an assessment quiz which you have to attempt positively. So without wasting much time and not getting into the audiences and the speaker, I would invite today's speaker, Ms. Deepika Dhar. I welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar.
Yeah. So before you start, I'll just like to introduce you to the audiences. Ma'am is a pharmacy graduate from MGV Pharmacy College, Nasik, and a postgraduate from Punjab University, Chandigarh. She has done a course in IP from Paul Janssen Future Lab in Netherlands. She has served reputed companies like Sun Pharma as Senior Manager, Intellectual Property R&D Department, and subsequently as IP Consultant with Rajeshwari and Associates, Delhi, and FITT IIT Delhi. She has rich 16 years of experience across IP functions, technology transfer, and business development. She has been conferred on the spot appreciation award by Ranbaxy Regulatory Limited in the year 2010, 2011, 2014, and 2015. She has been awarded with IdeaMax certification at R&D level in Sun Pharma for providing new idea for the development of 505(b)(2) product in the year 2017. She has key expertise in preparation of patent search reports, evaluation and infringement analysis, patent drafting and prosecution for various countries, including USA, European Patent, India, and rest of the world. I welcome you, ma'am. And I would request you to kindly take up. Chitra ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, very much.
Okay. Deepika ma'am, you can kindly take up. Would you like to share your presentation? I just need to hang on, please. Actually, the speaker is facing a bit technical glitch, so we can be starting in another few seconds. Is it working, ma'am? Meeting passcode. Just give me a minute, please.
Madam is in the meeting. Participants, please hold on for a while. Our speaker is facing some technical problem. She'll join in a while.
So Deepika ma'am has just joined. Kindly make her host. Yeah, she's there. Yeah. Ma'am, are you comfortable now?
Yeah.
Okay. So would you like to share your screen?
First of all, thank you, Dr. Kumud, for such a nice introduction and giving me an opportunity to present over here. I hope that I'll be able to share my expertise with the audience. And I would request the audience that they can ask the Q&A, they can ask the questions at the Q&A session, or they can interrupt me in between whenever they feel like they want to ask some question. So I'll be just sharing my slides. I hope you are able to see my slides.
Yes, ma'am. Please put on the F5 mode.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine now.
Okay. So as the topic for today is the nurturing innovation, so it becomes really very important for academia to nurture the innovation. Usually, what happens that the technologies in the academia, what happens that they don't go into a commercial. They are not marketed. So that is one of the biggest problem with the academic research. So we need to see that how can this innovation can see the market, how we can develop this innovation in such a way that it can see the market light. So that is one of the main important thing that the academia looks has to look into. So we'll be first starting what the innovation is. Innovation can be anything which is new, it can be any creation, it can be any idea. So that is the innovation. So how we now the thing is that we usually see that when we are just doing the literature surveys and everything, we need to see what is an unmet need. That is the one of the most important aspect, is that what is an unmet need. So we'll see how we can develop a new technology in such a way that it can see the market. So first is that we should identify the unmet need. So I'll be explaining it more details in the next slides, but the first and the foremost and important aspect is identifying the unmet need. How can you identify an unmet need? You can do it by a literature survey. You can see the patents, or you can see the non-patent literature. You can also talk to the physicians and the patient. This is specifically for the pharmaceuticals, that you can just talk with the physician. What are the patients the side effects with the medicines, or any kind of a patient and compliance they are looking into. So you can work on that. Then once you identify the unmet need, then you can go for addressing this unmet need, how you will provide a solution to this unmet need. So you can see that you can again take a research, using a research and development, doing the hit and trial methods, and you can come up with some of the solutions for this particular unmet need. Once you are done with these two aspects, that is third important aspect is prior art searching. I'll be discussing again this in the details. So this prior art searching, it is very important so that you can protect your invention. Because specifically for the pharmaceutical industry, for the inventions, wherein you spend so much of money to just come up with the technology, and then if you don't have a patent protection, anybody can enter the market next day. You take, as we know, that for the pharmaceutical research, it takes 10 to 12 years to come up into the market. And once you are in the market after 12 years with so much of spending time and money, the next day any other competitor can come into the market with the lower cost and can just snatch the market from you. So it is better that we have a patent protection. IPR protection can be in many ways. What we suggest is that we have a patents. We can have a copyright, trade secrets, many other things, but we generally say that you should have a patent protection. Then the fourth aspect is freedom to operate. Again, I will describe this in a details, but this is a very important aspect, and we have generally seen that the academic research, they usually miss this aspect. This is usually has to be done at the time when we are concepting, when there's an ideation of innovation, because if we do not have a freedom to operate, this will not get commercialized. So this has to be there to come up into the market. Then filing an IPR. So we can file an IPR. I think somebody else has shared the screen.
Larissa, can you please see into this? Sorry for this discrepancy, ma'am. Kindly please reshare.
Yeah. Just a moment. Fine. So as I was talking about filing an IPR, so we can file for a patent specifically, we can file a provisional or a complete. So our provisional we usually file when we have not done much experimental results and we have to do more experiments. So we can file a provisional, and complete we can file if we have done most of the experiments and nothing much has to be done. So we can file a complete patent. Now the fifth aspect is a technology transfer in case of academia. So this aspect starts when the IPR has been filed, because you have to disclose your invention to the industry. So you need to file an IPR. Your IPR should be in place. Then only you can go for a technology transfer. So this again, I'll be discussing in a details. Then is conducting, after you have a technology transfer with, you can collaborate with the industry and then go for conducting a CT and experiments for the regulatory to filing a dossiers. So for this type, when you start with this experimentation for the clinical trials, you actually need an industrial partner. The reason being is that the clinical trials are very costly and academia cannot afford it. And secondly, the academia is not going to commercialize it also. So why will academia spend the time and the money on the clinical trials? So once your IPR is filed, once a proof of concept has been set up, you can go for a technology transfer to some industries. And once the industry take up it, then it can be commercialized. If there is a successful clinical trials, the company can then take it for a commercialization. So this was the whole process, how you develop a new technology. So now coming up to more details one, how we can, what are the unmet needs and how we can address it. The first, the simple way is that what is the unmet need? A condition whose treatment is not addressed adequately by available therapy. So this is the first unmet need which you can look into. This is, for example, we have a cancer drugs. The research is still ongoing in that, because the treatment is there, but they are not addressed adequately. There is still a need in our art that you need to have a better treatment for a cancer. So then this is the first. The second unmet need is that if there is already a treatment existing, but the delivery mechanism or the formulation is inappropriate for the target patient group. Specifically, you can just see the recent example of COVID. In the COVID, the Pfizer had a COVID vaccine, but you see that the temperature requirement for that was it has to be stored at a low temperature. And many developed countries could not take that product because it was very difficult for the transportation, for the distribution. So this again gives a rise to an unmet need, that there is a treatment, but that is not able to be distributed. There's a transportation problem. The formulation is not stable, or sometimes it happens that for the pediatric population, you are giving a tablets and you need to give a formulation. So you need to give an injection. So something like that you have to see into. Then there is a condition where there is no effective treatment is available. There are some conditions still existing where there is no treatment available for them. Then patient in compliance, wherein there is a patient in compliance, that is also an unmet need. For example, there are side effects, the patient is feeling nausea or vomiting with particular drug. So you can also think about any new chemical entity which does not have these kind of a side effects. And the cost is also one of the aspects for specifically for the developing countries, wherein there is the maximum population is of a lower middle class. So we need to look into the cost factor also. So once we are done with this, finding out the unmet need in the market and then addressing this unmet need, we can address it by providing a solution to particular unmet need. For example, if there is any tablet which is like, for example, for this Pfizer case only, if we find any mRNA vaccine which can be stored at a higher temperature, so that is an unmet need, and you have addressed it by providing a formulation wherein it can be stored at an ambient temperature. So this way you can, this is all why I'm telling you all this, is that we actually want that it should go to a commercialization. Sometimes the innovations are made but they don't go into the market. The reason being is that there are already so much of competitors in that particular research. So the company is not interested to take that product because they think that by just launching this product and spending so much of money on this technology, they are not going to have any market share. The market share will be very diluted. So just first, if we look into the unmet need, then the company is also very interested that yes, they are going to have a greater market share because this was not solved by anybody, and your institute has given the solution to particular problem. So I would suggest that always, whenever you start your innovation, go for unmet need. Then once you are done with the unmet need, that this is unmet need and this is the way you are going to address it, we need to do a prior art search. This is a very important. There are two types of prior art search which we need to do. One is the patentability search, and the other is the freedom to operate. Again, I'll be describing them in details. So in case of a patentability search, what we have to do, we have to see that that this particular technology, the novel technology which you are going to develop, is not there in any of the patents or any non-patent literature also. It is not, if we don't have to just restrict ourselves to the patents, you have to go beyond the patents for doing the patentability search. Why we are doing patentability search is because we want to see whether we can file any IPR on that. If there is already existing any prior art, any publication or any prior disclosure worldwide, then you cannot file a patent application because that will be act as a prior art for your case. So this is a very important, it is a very important aspect that you look into the prior art search. So the two main thing is that you don't have to just concentrate on the patents. You have to see patents as well as the non-patent literature. Secondly, you have to see publication worldwide. For example, if you're thinking that you are going to file an Indian patent, that doesn't mean that if there is a disclosure in the US, that will not act as a prior art. That is also going to act as a prior art. If it is any country is disclosing your invention, your technology, that will act as a prior art. Okay. Then comes to freedom to operate. This I have seen that many academic institutes, they don't go for a freedom to operate searches, but I think that this is also important when you are doing a patentability search. For the freedom to why we need to do a freedom to operate. Freedom to operate is actually required when you are commercializing. For the R&D purposes, for the research and development, we don't require freedom to operate. Only for in case of a commercialization, we require this. So what is the freedom to operate? We have freedom to operate means that we have to see that any third party, any innovator's patent or a third party patents, we are not infringing. Like for our technology, we have the X technology, and there is already a patent on that particular X technology. And if tomorrow, when we are developing it at R&D levels, we need not to have that freedom to operate. But when tomorrow we are going to commercialize this, the innovator is going to sue us, saying that our in technology is infringing his claim. So we have to be careful to see that there is no patent or an application which is actually covering this technology. For this freedom to operate, we have to only look into the claims, not the whole specification. And only the patents and the patent application we have to look. See, this is the difference between the patentability search and the freedom to operate. For the freedom to operate, we just have to concentrate on the patents. If there is any article, we don't have to care about it. We have to just see the patents. And secondly, for the patentability search, as I said, we have to go for a worldwide, any disclosure. But for the freedom to operate, we have to restrict ourselves to particular country. For example, there is one technology X. We believe that the market interest for that particular technology is India only. So we will have to just concentrate ourselves for the Indian patents. We'll just look into the Indian patents and see that our technology is not infringing any of the Indian patents. If we are marketing that technology to later on to the US, so we'll have to see in US also. So this freedom to operate has to be looked into a territories, not beyond the territories where we are marketing. So whenever you start your research, go for a patentability search and the freedom to operate. Because many a times it happens that for academic institute that everything is in place, but there is already the freedom to operate is not there. Sometimes also in the academic institute, it happens that you are taking, for example, some reactant from some vendor, okay, and this reactant is patented. And then you are taking this reactant and then you are just making a new product with this using this reactant, but you are making a new product using this reactant, this patented reactant. So what you can do, you can ask this, if a company comes up and they are interested in your product, so you can tell the company that your product is new, but the reactant which you are using is already being patented by some company, X company. Then what can the industry do? They can take a license for this patent also from that X company. So you can use that patent, you can use that reactant or a process which is already patented and then modify it into the new product or a process, but that license has to be taken by the by that particular has to be taken by whoever is owning that particular IP. So the thing is that this FTO has to be done at the initial stages only. Now, coming to the one of the case study, how can we determine the freedom to operate? This is one example I can give you. For example, there is an inventor who has, for example, he has invented a pencil, and in the pencil, there's one patent by some different owner for a different applicant. In fact, so that the claims of that patent says that graphite rod for writing. Fine. This pencil also has a graphite rod for writing. So your pencil, which you have developed, will be infringing that patent because your pencil will also have a graphite rod for writing. And this is a claim of that particular patent. Then you have now if this patent had a claims like this, a graphite rod for writing having a cloth wrapped around it, then your technology will be not infringing this patent because your technology will have a wood around it, because it's a pencil, so it will have a wood around it, not the cloth. So that ways you are not infringing to this technology. I hope you have got my point. What is that the first claim, the graphite rod for writing, was a broad claim. It would cover anything, but graphite rod for writing covered with the cloth is a narrow claim. So anything which is covered by a wood or maybe a metal will go out of this claim and will be non-infringing. Now so once the patentability search has been done and the IPR, then the FTO has been also done, then we can go for IPR filing. IPR filing can be anything if you wish, like patents, trademarks, copyright, industrial design. It can be trade secret, anything. But we have to be. But what we suggest is that we should file a patent because it is the broadest and the strongest protection. And as we know that the patents have a 20 years term of expiration. So it gives the broadest and the strongest protection. So what are the rights do the patent owners have? So the patent owners have the right that they can license their technology to the third party on the mutually agreed basis, mutually agreed terms and conditions. So they can either they license or they can sell their invention to the third party. And then this third party becomes the owner of that particular patent. So it is upon the discretion of the patent owners how they want to, explore their patented right. Either they can license, or in fact they can commercialize their own patent. Like for example, if an industry is having any patent, so they can just go for a commercialization. If for example any academia is having, they can license it to some third party. Sometimes what happens, some industries, they ask that we don't want a license, we want the ownership for this patent. So then the academia can give them the assignment also. Assignment means that the right for this patent to them. Now the next question is the patent valid in every country? As I've already said, that the patent is a territorial right, so it has to be in particular to that particular country. It cannot be like you filed a patent in India and that can be enforced in US also, or the Indian patent can be enforced in Europe also. If you want to have a patent, if you want to enforce your patent rights, then you have to file that in particular countries. Like for Europe, you have to file European patent. For the US, you have to file the US patent. Now, once the IPR has been filed, the next thing comes is that technology transfer. This is the very key area where we have to focus after the filing of the IP has been done. What happens that many a times the technologies are developed, but because the academia does not have the infrastructure, does not have the funds, the technology is interrupted and it is stopped. So for that reasons, that this technology transfer is an important thing. So that if the academia does not have funds, it does not have the infrastructure, GMP condition, GLP condition, they can look into a technology transfer and then transfer this technology to some industries which have these, manufacturing facilities and everything. So what is a technology transfer? Is the process by which a new innovation flow from the basic research bench to commercial entities and then to public use. So the invention will flow from the basic research bench, that is the academia, to the commercial entities, that is industrial partners, and then to the public, finally to the public use. So what does technology transfer includes? It includes the licensing of the patents, if there is any patents, or the broadly an IPR, including the copyrights, the trademarks, everything will include in it. And also transfer of the know-how. The inventor, the applicant has to also provide a know-how to the licensee. It is not just that you just transfer the patents, we have to tell them the know-how also. What is the know-how? Know-how is the skill sets, that what is the processing conditions, what should be the temperature when he follows that particular technology. So that all has to be transferred to the company. So sometimes it happens that you don't have a patent, so you can transfer the know-how also. So know-how is also transferable. Though you have not protected your IP, but you can transfer the know-how also. So this is not that it is the eligibility that for the technology transfer you just required, you have the IPR is needed. If by sometimes it happens that you are not able to file an IPR, then you can transfer the know-how also. So what are what types of a technology transfer you see? That is a government sector transferring to a private sector, sometimes a startup. They transfer to the large scale industry. The thing is that the startup does not have the scale up facilities, so they sometimes transfer to large scale industries. Academia to the industries. Nowadays this is majorly seen that the academia is transferring their technology to the industry. Sometimes the government is also helping academia, then the government and academia to industry. So this is the way that these days we can see a technology transfer. So why we need a technology transfer? As I have said, that there's a lack of funds, manufacturing sites is not there, GLP, GMP, and for the academia does not want to invest the money because they are not going to commercialize it. So these are the reasons why the technology transfer is necessary. So what is the TT process? So first, what happens in the TT is that the inventor discloses there. It starts with the disclosure of the invention. Because if you've seen we have many TTO offices in India, which are helping academic institutes. So sometimes there is an in-house TTO office also, technology transfer offices, and sometimes there can be an outsourced technology transfer offices also. So for how it starts, that when an inventor discloses their invention to the TTO office, TTO, they then see into the invention. They do perform patentability search and everything, and they see that whether IPR can be filed or it cannot be filed, or which type of IPR can be filed. They suggest the inventors that how they can proceed with the filing of the IPR. Once that has been done, then there is a finding of licensee. So how will we find this licensee? That is actually a challenging thing to do. So what is usually done, that once the patent application is filed, you can disclose your invention on social media, but you have to be aware that this should not be like that you are disclosing everything about your invention. It should be a very short summary, and any confidential thing should not be disclosed on social medias, newspaper articles, any public disclosure you can do, and you can present your invention in the conferences, anywhere. This is the one way that how you can start, looking for a licensee. And second way is that you have already your patent, it will get published. So obviously the companies which are working in this particular technologies, they can just see your patent and then can come up with to you and ask that whether you can license this technology to them. So this is the other way. The third way is that you can just see, you can yourself see the companies who are working in this particular technology. You can make a list of make a list of the companies which are working in this technology, and then you can provide this list to your TTO, and they can just reach out to these companies and ask them that whether they are interested in this particular technology or not. So for this, you have to see the market interest also. For example, you have developed a technology which is just which will be for Indian market only. So for that, you need to see the Indian player. For example, your technology, if you think that it is having a global impact, it has solved a problem globally, then you have to see a global player who can market your technology to to other countries also. They have their presence in other countries also. So based on that also, you have to see to whom you can license your technology. See, once you have identified that this particular industries are interested in your technologies, so before discussing with them, because once you are on the table, they will ask you many questions about how your technology works, what are the equipments required, what is the manufacturing facilities, what is the raw material, what is the costing, everything they're going to ask. So it's better that before discussing with them, you sign an NDA. This I will, in the next slides, I will discuss this in more details. What does NDA means? What does it include? So right now it is just that before non-disclosure agreement, it should be signed between you and the industries, so that this is just to safeguard your invention, so that it is not that they take your information and then commercialize it without knowing, because the academia does not have a strong presence that they can ensure that this has been marketed or this has not been marketed by a reverse engineering or something like that. So it is a difficult for the academia to keep a track on this. So it is better that you have an NDA in place. When the NDA is, this will be not breached, because you can sue them for breaching of this. I can see yes, please go ahead with your question. I can see somebody's hand, Vivo. I cannot see the name. Can you just please go ahead with the question?
Actually, ma'am, all the participants are muted for this duration, the duration of your session.
Okay.
The chat box is open. They can put their question in the chat box or ask at the end of the session.
Okay.
So I request the participants to put their question in the chat box.
Okay, I'll continue till I get the questions in the chat box.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah. So I was saying that signing in the importance of signing an NDA. It is just to safeguard your invention. Then comes the fourth and the important part is the negotiating the license terms and conditions. So in this, I will be just touching upon what is the main term and condition is the licensing fees. You have to, how, how is your technology, how you are going to, sell your technology to the industrial partner, and what should be the licensing fees you are going to get. Because obviously you need a licensing fees. You have the academia or a small scale industries have spent so much of money on their R&Ds, and then because they are not going to commercialize it, so they are not going to get anything from the profits from the commercialization. So they are going to get the amount from the industrial partner at this stage only. So the thing is how to, how to just think what should be the licensing fee. So you can, that depends upon the technology to technology. You can see that if it is having a, very broad market share, then you can ask for the more licensing fees. If you think that no, it is not going to have a broader market share, so you can ask for the lower market. You have to just analyze your technology for that. You need to see the market. You need to see the market interest also. If you think that this technology is going to, worldwide commercialize, it can be commercialized worldwide. So again, you can just, your licensing can be in a more amount. And for the pharmaceutical, the licensing fees is actually taken in two ways. It can be upfront or it can be a milestone. Specifically for the pharmaceuticals, what happens that it is usually in a milestone basis. For the softwares and other technologies, it is upfront licensing fees. But for the pharmaceutical, it is usually a milestone basis. I'll tell you why. Because what happens when we transfer this technology to the industry, it is usually at a, I can say, in between the proof of concept to preclinical trials. Usually the academia transfer the technology at that time, so it has to be still validated. And you know that there's a lot of attrition in the pharmaceutical. Many few molecules or few technologies actually are able to get, successful clinical trials, phase 3 till many. I think there are few technology which reach to the phase 3 trials. So this is actually very important that we are we when we are negotiating, we should see that at what is the level of our technology. If you think that you're in the industrial partner that has need not to do any more studies, then you can, you can increase your licensing fees. But if you think that he needs to, more, he has to do clinical trials, and then right now it is just the 20%, 30% that your technology is successful. He has to perform more 70% data to get it into the market. Then you can have this milestone based. So how these are milestones are, drafted. So you have just first milestone is that that the preclinical trials are successful. So you can take a certain amount from the industry, that the license of preclinical trials are successful, you can give us this amount. Then you can do one thing. Then you can put a second milestone saying that the first phase one, for example, a phase 1 clinical trial is successful. So you can say give that this amount is required to be paid when the phase 1 clinical trials is successful. Then certain amount when phase 2 and 3 clinical trials are successful. And finally, when you get the market approval, then this particular amount is has to be paid. And then finally, you can go to the royalties, that once it has been commercialized, that you can pay us this particular royalty. And the royalty is usually between 3 to 5%. It is not more than that. So you have to do that also, that you have, but this all depends upon the technology. It varies. There is no set rule that this is a licensing fee for this particular technology, this is a licensing fee for this particular technology, or the royalty. This depends upon case to case. You need to see that how much money you have spent on your technology, and what is the market interest, what is the market share. So based on these factors, you have to analyze your technology and then come up with the licensing fees. So as I have already told you, that pharmaceutical, the milestone is the one. For example, software, we usually what we do that there is a software, so you give us this amount as an upfront and then a royalty. That's it. There is no stages for that. Fine. Now comes the barriers for technology transfer. We can see that in the academia, it's not happening that 100% of technology transfer is happening. If you see that so many patents have been filed by academia, how many are converted into technology transfer? I don't think there are much. Maybe I'm just quoting maybe a 10%. That's it. Or maybe in some cases a 2%, 1%. It's always below 10%. If you see the overall data, why are there barriers for this technology transfer? Because sometimes when we are developing this technology, we are you are using very complicated and complex technologies, which an industrial partner cannot, they cannot reciprocate, they cannot replicate that. They do not have that manufacturing facilities for that particular complex technology. And if a complex technology is going to take more efforts and there is no market share also, then they are not at all interested in taking that technology. So try to make a technology should be unique, but it is not necessary that for the commercialization, that technology should be more complex. It can be a simple technology with the unmet need. It can be that way also. That if you are developing a complex technology, for example, then you can try that to make it, once you have developed a complex technology, you can see how can you make it a simpler also. If you have got a solution for a particular unmet need and it is very complicated and very complex, you can just, after you have developed it, you can see if you can reach out to this technology by a simpler way also. That is going to help you out. Then low market shares. As I told you, if you are not doing the unmet need, you are not looking into what the market wants, then there is a low market share. There are lots of competitors. You are developing I have seen that there's developing a process for some drugs which are already there. For example, I have seen a patent on process of developing a warfarin. If you see, warfarin is such a old molecule and process, there are hundreds of warfarin products in the market, and you have a patent on this particular process. What is this going to help out for the industry? This is not going to provide any market to them. If that process is low cost also, still it is not going to help them, because there are all warfarin is so old molecule. There are hundreds of processes, and this process of yours, if it is low cost also, it is not going to provide any market share to the industry. So industry wants the market share. That is very important for them, because they are going to spend money on your new product. So they want that they should be able to get the market research share also. Then high cost. Sometimes the academia use very costly raw materials. So for industry, because they have to scale up that technology, it becomes so difficult for them to just get that raw material and then make this high cost product and then selling off this high cost product. As I told you, that cost is one of the, not the important is, but it is one of the important aspect for the developing countries, that if they are making very high cost product, so selling it off with the very high cost, so it is very difficult for them to have a market share. And sometimes the products which you make at R&D, they are difficult to scale up. That is also one of the problems which is a barrier to the technology transfer. And yes, one more thing which I have not mentioned over here is that the IPR. Sometimes the industry says that if there is specifically for the new molecular entities, NCEs, not for the every case, but for the NCEs, they want that there should be some IPR. If there is no intellectual property rights, they are not interested to invest their money and time in the NCEs, because they are going to spend lots of money. As you know, it goes to crores. So if they are going to spend so much of money and they don't have any market protection, then they are not interested in it. So this was a TT process. And what are the types of licensees? So there are types of license. One is the exclusive. What is the exclusive license? Exclusive license, this is again, exclusive license is done usually for the pharmaceuticals. In this case, what happens that you give your patent to only one licensee. There are no more licensee you will give to your patent. Only to one third party you will give your patent. And he will have that company is going to have the exclusive right on your patent. No any other company can market that particular product. So in case of pharmaceutical, we have this exclusive license because the company is going to spend they are going to do the clinical trials, they are going to spend money, and then they will have an exclusive right on your patent. Then you have a non-exclusive license. In non-exclusive license, you can give your patent, you can license your patent to many parties. For example, it happens in the software or it is electronics. You can give to many third parties. One patent, you can give it to many parties. So these, when we do the agreement with these kind of a non-exclusive license, then that is having usually a low cost, because you'll be giving them to many parties and you will be able to get your R&D returns. Whereas for exclusive license, this licensing agreement is always, this license is always of a more cost, exclusive licensing, because you are going to give it to one company only and you have to get your returns also. So obviously it is going to be on a higher side. Then is a sole license. What is a sole license? In that, licensee give us to one license, licensor give it to one licensee, and also he can exploit his IP himself also. For example, there is a one industry, they can use, they are also commercializing it, their product, maybe some drug, and the other company, they can give a license to other company also, and they can also commercialize that. So that is a sole license, that the industry is also commercializing and the other party is also commercializing. They have given the license to the other party also. So the sole license is usually with the industries because academia cannot commercialize. And exclusive is for basically for the pharmaceuticals, wherein only one company will be involved. Non-exclusive for the software, and non-exclusive also can be for the pharmaceutical if you think that no clinical trials or nothing is required by the company. It is without the clinical trials, you can give a non-exclusive license that the company does not have to invest any money in it. If they don't have to invest any money, they don't have. Now again, if I say that invest money, it does not mean for the production or manufacturing. Obviously, for that they need to spend money. I'm saying it in perspective that they don't have to spend money on the R&D. That the product is already in a developed stage. They have to just manufacture it and bring it into the market. So these were the type of license. After the so what is that we have done, our terms and conditions are fixed, that this is a licensing, this is a, we are going for exclusive licensing or a non-exclusive licensing, what kind of a licensing, how the licensing fees will be taken. We have discussed all with the third party or the industry. Then we have to draft a licensing agreement. So what does the licensing agreement, these are just the pointers what they include, that is whether the license is exclusive or a non-exclusive, field of use, this technology will be used for what purpose, what will be the purpose of this particular, geographical restrictions. Yes, we have to mention in the technology licensing agreement whether the third party or the industry will have a worldwide right or it will have only Indian rights. Again, if we are providing a worldwide rights, we can increase the licensing fees. If we are providing just the Indian rights, we can again decrease the licensing fee. Term of a license, it will be for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Then performance milestones. As I told you that in case of the pharmaceuticals, we usually see the performance milestones, and then the royalties, then sub-license. We also allow them, it depends upon us that we want them to sub-license this technology or we don't want them to sub-license this technology. If we are allowing them to sub-license this technology, in that case, we will again charge them for their sub-licensing also. Then we can tell them the equipments and the facilities, consulting agreements. And with this licensing agreement, we also provide them with the technology know-how document. So we have, at this stage, you can provide them the technology know-how document. Now, this is a technology to know-how document. You can just, they have to read out, they can discuss with you everything on that technology know-how. Here, you can just give every confidential information because already an agreement is in place. So you can give all the information to the company so that they can reproduce your technology and scale up your technology. So once this licensing agreement, so I'll just now tell you briefly what is that, how the technology, what is the process of technology transfer. Firstly, there is that we will have an IPR file, then we'll look for the licensee. Once we have looked into, we have find out the licensee, we'll go for an NDA. Once the NDA has been done, we will negotiate the terms and conditions. Once it has been done, we will draft a licensing agreement. And then we can give a dossier to the company, whatever the technology is related to. So this is the process flow of the technology transfer. Now, coming to, there is a technology readiness level given for a technology. That what is a readiness level? This is specifically terms used for the technology transfer. That when you reach out to the companies, you tell them that your technology is at TRL level 1, it is at TRL level 2. This technology readiness level, it differs with the different technologies. For example, for the pharmaceutical, this is the TRL levels. For the software, it will be different because they have a different milestones. Pharmaceutical has a different milestone. So the TRL levels given in this slide is specifically for the pharmaceuticals. Like for the TRL, what does the TRL level mean? Technology readiness level 1. That means ideation, that you have just come up with the idea, unmet need, how you have observed the unmet need, you have literature survey has been done. That is a TRL level 1. At this stage, no company will be interested to take your technology. Then proof of principle, TRL 2, research ideas were developed, hypothesize the formulation, protocols were developed. So this is a TRL level 2. Then TRL level 3 is proof of concept demonstrated. So one you are doing a testing, hypothesis testing, initial proof of concept has been demonstrated. Then proof of concept established, TRL level 4. So you have established the concept. So how you have established? By animal modeling and everything, you have established this proof of concept. Then there is an early stage validation, that is TRL 5, as preclinical studies have been done using a GLP facilities or something like that. So see, now here that between TRL 4 to TRL 5 or TRL 6, TRL 6 is again the phase 1 clinical trials done and results were submitted. So between TRL 4 to TRL 6, the technology transfer should happen for the academia, because beyond this, it is just the waste of money and the effort by academia. So usually what we see that the companies are interested to take the technology between TRL 4 to TRL 6. So you can look for a license between these stages when you have reached. Then coming to the next is that late stage validation, that includes the phase 2, then pre-commercialization, that is phase 3, then there's a commercialization and approvals. So that is a TRL 9. So this TRL 7, 8, 9 are usually done in a industrial atmosphere, because it is difficult for academia to do that. Sometimes a TRL 6 is also taken by the company itself, because academia also does not have a GLP facility sometimes, but there are some academic institutes which now have a GLP facilities. So this is a technology readiness level. So based on this TRL, you can just see that when is your technology ready for the technology transfer. So as I have told, I will be discussing you in details what is a non-disclosure agreement. So a non-disclosure agreement or an NDA is a written contract between the two parties that prohibits the sharing of confidential information shared between the both ends. So it can be between the both ends. It can be one end that only you are sharing the confidential details. It can be like that also. So there are types of non-disclosure agreements. So I'll come to that also. First is a unilateral NDA. Unilateral NDA, in this type of NDA, two parties are involved. Fine. There are two parties are involved. And in this case, what happens that only one party will disclose their confidential information. The other party will just listen to it, and they will prevent this information to be disclosed to someone else. Okay. So this is usually what happens for the technology transfer of academia to an industry. Then a bilateral NDA. So bilateral NDA, both the parties will be disclosing their confidential information. It sometimes happens when an industry and a academia are collaborating in some particular research. So for example, the academia has also developed one NC in particular with a particular structure, and industries has also developed one particular structure, and the academia has also developed one particular structure, similar structures. So they can discuss their confidential information and say that they have also developed this, they have also developed, and then mutually discuss this. So both of them have provided their confidential information. And then multilateral NDA, that in this type of NDA, many parties are involved. So it can be in case of a sub-licensing also, that there is a sub-licenser also, so he wants to understand the technology. So based on this, the NDA has to be drafted. But this is very important to be drafted before discussing the invention with the third party in details. Now, when is NDA required? NDA is required entering into a business deals. It can be for a business deal is usually for the I will say that for these for the small scale industry, they want to have a technology transfer to a larger scale industries. It can be NDA is required when you are talking to investors or during a mergers and acquisition. It is again for the industries. Taking an advice from a consultant. So if you are taking advice from some consultant that if you have, for example, you have faced some problem, or you want to take a regulatory consultant to understand what is the regulatory pathway for your drug or for your molecule or a new technology. So you need to just describe your invention to him. So for that, you again sign an NDA. Contract manufacturing. Sometimes you don't have your equipments in your labs or in your industry. So you again need to have a contract manufacturers. So contract manufacturers, they can help you out with the facilities, and you have to sign an NDA with them so that they do not disclose with any other third party. And when you are licensing a patent or a technology transfer, that time also you have to have your NDA in places. Now, there is lots of work is going in a university and industrial collaboration. So I'll just provide you some case studies where the industries have actually taken up the molecules from the universities, and they were the blockbusters. As you know, drug discovery is facing a considerable challenge with the increasing cost, decreasing productivity, and an attrition of a project as they progress through the development process. As I have already said you that there are a few molecules which actually reach to phase 3 clinical trials and get the approvals. And what is the actually, how this industry and the industry and academia collaboration works. So industry usually relies on the academia for a basic research that identifies a new molecular targets or new molecular entities or any new technologies. They depend upon the academia for that. And how the academia relies on the industry, that after they have done a basic research, they want the industry to take up their molecules for the clinical trials and evaluate them for the safety and efficacy. So it is a mutual win-win situation that academia do the initial research, and the industry partner do the later on the clinical trials, as I said, after the TRL 7 or the 6. So there was one product, Elmita, that was for the lung cancer. It is pemetrexate, and this was you can see it was $524 million, and there was a royalty receipt for this product, and this was developed by a university in collaboration with the Lilly. So this was a blockbuster drug developed by university and marketed by then Lilly. So these are some of the case studies. Also, there are many drugs which have been developed. Initial development was by the universities, and then they're marketed by the industry. Like you can see doxycalciferol, loteprednol, paricalcitrol, saprotrine, vornistat, so many others. So they all were actually conceptualized, initiated by the universities, and then they were taken over by, again, it will be by the technology transfer. So also I would like to hear, as we are discussing industry and the academia collaboration, there are some initiatives taken by the Indian government also, that there is one PACE program by BIRAC. So what is that PACE program? Is that promoting academic research conversion to enterprise. So this is a program in which they encourage to develop a technology to the proof of concept by the academia, and then for the validation, the industry partner can take over. So when you are applying for this PACE program, you have to have an industrial partner who will be validating your proof of concept. So this is a very interesting program that both academia and industry can collaborate, and they can apply for this program, and the funds will be given to both the academia also, and for this industry also. The industry have to actually validate the process or the prototypes, and the academia has to develop their proof of concept. So this is a very interesting initiative by the government, that wherein both the industry, and herein if you can see that the industry also have some, because as I said that the clinical trials, you never know they will be successful or they will be not successful. But by using these kind of initiatives, wherein the industries will be also sponsored, they will also receive the fund from government. So they will be interested in these kind of collaborations also, if they don't want to invest their money. So once this happens, that technology transfer is there, everything is there, then there is a drug approval process in India. So you have to see that regulatory part before commercializing, they have to take an approval. As you know, they have to take an approval from the DCGI, CDSCO. So it can be two ways approval. One is if there is a new drug application, there is some generic. So for the generic, they have to prove a bioequivalence, and for the new drug, they have to go for the IND application. That first the IND application filing will be there, then there will be the examination of a new drug device, then there will be a detailed review, then recommendation, IND application approved, then clinical trial started, then application for a new drug registration to CITESCO. So these are the way for the, if you can see that for the, on the right hand side, it's a new drug approval that is very complicated, that you need to take so many of approvals, and then the clinical trials also you have to do full-fledged, wherein in case of ANDA, you have to just do a clinical trials, that to a B studies mostly, and get your product licensed. So before coming to this slide, I would like to tell you that whenever we are looking into the invention, it should have a industrial utility. Whenever we are developing any new technology, we should see that it has the industrial applicability. Sometimes it happens that we are making an invention, but it does not have any industrial applicability. If you see that for example, I will say that there is an invention wherein an umbrella has been developed, for example, but this umbrella is with hole. If this umbrella is with hole, it is not going to have any industrial applicability. So it is an invention, it is new, it is an invention. There was a technology involved in it, making a hole over the umbrella. But this umbrella is not going to have any industrial applicability. Nobody is going to use an umbrella with a hole. So before starting up your projects, technologies, always see that what will be the industrial applicability. Sometimes when we are doing academic research, we just think that we have to just come up with a new technology. That should not be the criteria. The criteria should be new technology which will be commercialized. And make it more simpler, don't make it more complex. Try to make it in a simpler way. Try to have a cost effective. Don't use many raw material which are very costly for you, because you are developing at a very low scale. It will be feasible, but for the companies which have to convert into the high scale, it will be very difficult for them to convert. So these, now coming to this slide, is the final slide that says do's and don'ts. What you should do and what you should not do when you are developing your technology. File a right kind of a patent application. So that is very necessary, that you file a right application. Sometimes you're in a very hurry that you filed application, and after 1 year you realize that this was not your invention. It is something else which is an invention. So that becomes very tricky, because you have already filed an application, and then after 1 year or 2 years, you are realizing this is not your application. This is not your invention. So it really becomes difficult for, just go back and change, because that will become a prior art for your application. So it is better that before filing an IPR, filing a patent application, you should think before. And what type of IPR you have to file. It is not just you have to file a patent, you can file 2 to 3 IPR to protect your invention. You can file a patent also. Together you can file a copyright also. You can file a design also, and you can file a trademark also. So you can protect one invention with the 4 IPRs. So it is not that you can just file one. So you have to decide before filing, and you have to take strategically decide what kind of IPR you have to file. But it is, I will always recommend that you can transfer a know-how also. That is not an issue. But I would always recommend that you file an IPR in any form before disclosing it to someone else. Do not disclose your invention before filing a patent application. This is also important, that you should not disclose your invention. Not any research paper should be there. There should be no conference. You should not disclose if you are taking some, opinions from some consultant. That should be also not done. So I will say that before, you will say that we have done an NDA. Yeah, fine, you have done an NDA. That's okay. But it is better that you have a filed patent application and then you talk to somebody. That is a better option. Execute an NDA. As I have told you, that NDA is required. It can be before, it can be whenever you disclose and when you disclose or seek an advice from somewhere, always, you file an NDA with that. Execute an NDA. And many times it happens because when you execute an NDA, it is always having expiration. It will be expired in 5 years or 10 years. And if you are, for example, you are talking some consultant for a pharmaceutical product, which takes 10 years, and you are talking and you have executed this NDA, it is usually for 5 years. So you have executed this for NDA for 5 years, and this pharmaceutical product is taking 12 years, and you have not seen that this NDA has already expired. So you need to renew it. Keep on renewing your NDA till it is marketed. So monitor agreements, ND on regular basis. So whatever agreements and the NDAs you have in place, you need to monitor them. It is not for the lifetime. Or if you have done that way, you have put it, you have put it, you have done it. I mean, you have put this before finalizing also. So you can do that. So now I would suggest that that I have told you all the information about the technology transfer. I have told you all the information about the IP. So we can go to the question and answers. Dr. Kumud?
Yeah, that was quite informative session, Deepika ma'am. Participants really got an insight about the freedom to act, types of licenses, and then levels of the technology transfer. And I hope they'll be, if they are looking forward for the technology development, they'll go for the simpler one as you suggested, ma'am. So I would request participants to kindly post their question in the chat box. By the time they put, ma'am, I would like to, and I'm delighted to apprise you that Professor Kanchan Kohli is heading the research cell department here at Lloyd. And under her capacity as a director research, we are really having the tremendous accomplishments right for this DSIR approval and to many other research collaborations. And I hope you know well each other. Ma'am, I would request you to say a few words.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar. And first of all, I like to congratulate Dr. Deepika for giving such a wonderful and informative talk. And today, I think everything is clear must be to all students if they have listened carefully, do and don'ts. So that's really, I mean, the wonderful slide I like. And really, you have mentioned about the simple techniques could be transferred. It's very true, but I like to mention Deepika over here. The thing is, when the students they come for the research purpose, the problem comes when they are really going for the simple techniques, then the paper publication is really difficult, and for that reason we have to give the complex type of the problems to them. So this is the main problem with academia. And now the UGC schemes are there. Unless until you don't have the publications, you cannot submit the thesis. So this is the what problem I like to mention. So here for that reason, we have to always select the complex problems and the say polymers and the newer polymers, like the costly polymers. For example, PLGA is one of the costliest polymer which we are using for the formulation because of the solubility reason. The problem of the solubility and permeability we can very well improve with the help of the PLGA. But when we talk about the price or the cost of this polymer is very costly. So that's why, and here the conflict is there. When we talk with the industries, they will not agree with that. And very rightly you have mentioned, for that reason we have to go for the simple technique. So we here what I like to advise the student that whatever complex problem they are getting for the research, side by side they could go for the simple techniques. Like I like to mention one, gel formulation, for example. Nowadays many gel formulations are there, and rightly we can improve the spreadability, we can improve the cost of the gels. So moreover, I visited recently one exhibition. There I could able to find out propylene glycol, and what propylene glycol which we are using is really toxic to the, not toxic, like kind of the irritant to the skin. And they have developed, manufacturers have developed a kind of the PG, I mean, which is not giving too much toxicity. And we should aware of those raw materials also, which can be modified or which can be used for that reason. And I'll have one question from Deepika. Is there any product transfer from your association or for your organization to any industry? If
Yes, ma'am.
so, yeah.
Yeah, we
Any
have
pharmaceutical product?
yes, we have. We are actually working with. We are in process of a pharmaceutical product for the wound substituent. It's a skin
Okay.
substituent for a wound.
Okay.
So,
So, how to find out the licensing, for
so that is
example?
what I was saying, that we have to see the market interest first, that we have to look for an Indian company or we have to look for a global player. So if we think that this particular technology is going to be marketed in India, but usually what happens, we have seen that since for the pharmaceutical specifically, like for the US, we have to do another clinical trials. For the India one, then the US one. So it gets complicated. So usually it is an Indian company we look for. So let us say that we have to then first see the market interest. Then secondly, we have to see that the company which is already in that technology. Like for us, if we see at a skin substitute, dermatological products, the Dr. Reddy's is there. Then there is a Centis Pharma. They are looking into this dermatological section. So we have to just first look at their portfolios also, because any industry will not go if they are not in the dermatological section. They will not go with your product in that. They are not going to take that risk. The reason is that they don't have their distributors in that field. So we have to look
Yes.
into that, which technology is suited for them. So that is very important. And I really I'm thankful that you told me that what exactly is the problem, that you have to go for a complex technologies. But that is what I would also suggest, that when you are going for a complex technologies, yes, you need to give a papers and you have to publish your papers. So for that reasons, you can do one thing. You can take a you have to see the market share also. If you think that particular market, if you make that some the costly polymer and a particular drug, and that will have there is a lots of unmet need of a permeability or anything, and that is going to have a tremendous market share. So then you can use a complex technology, because if the innovator, if an innovator or industry is going to spend the money, they are going to get the money also.
Right, right. Well, that's we
So,
are always looking for that.
but
I
what
mean,
is
whatever.
happening? What is happening? We are using warfarin with the costly polymers.
Yes, yes,
So
that should not be there.
it's not going to help industry. Industries, they lose their interest, because I'm facing these kind of a problem, that we are using very old molecules with the new tech, with the costlier problem. They are not interested.
Yes,
We should try to explore the molecules, newer molecules with a more unmet. There's a actually unmet need. As I said, one example of a warfarin, that the process of development of a warfarin. So warfarin is already there. There is so much of market of warfarin. Making this process, and maybe your process having new reagents, you have more yield. That is not going to happen. That is not going to
yes,
help
yes.
industry.
And we have to look for the DCGI permissions also, because whenever we are using the new excipient, for example, we need to give the clinical trials also with that. And for very rightly you have mentioned, and you have very rightly given the points which the academia and the industry interaction is required. Like from the academia point of view also, like we should not use the costly polymers. This is the one thing. And the cost, of course, we have to see, as you have mentioned, we have to see the other factors like solubility and the permeability. And if we could improve that solubility and permeability, this is the problem with the industry. Definitely the industry will say yes to us and they will look into the product. But the only thing is that how we can reach the industry, that is the main issue with us. I mean, whenever we are formulating a product, although we are getting the good results and we know that our product could be like marketed, but the problem where we stick is that how we can contact to the industry that and convince over that product is good. So,
And ma'am, you can just put that technology brochures also. Like we have quarterly technology brochures. So in that technology
okay,
brochure, there are various technologies that are published and they are sent across to the industries.
okay,
So they
that,
can have
that's
a
the.
look into. Yeah, and the social media also is helping us a lot. That you put it on also social media.
So if you could help us to give some websites for that reason, or where we can contact us, that will be
We are
the.
using our that the LinkedIn also, and also we are advertisement in the newspapers.
Okay, because
With the,
buyback advertisement, so we get it. that whenever BIREC is opening the projects, we are getting into it, that's advertised in the newspaper. But what this technology transfer and what you are publishing quarterly, that we don't know.
Yeah, FITT is also publishing in the newsletters that these are the technology ready for transfer. So that is also going, and the websites also, like for this institute, you can put on your website also, these technologies are ready for transfer.
Okay, that's wonderful. So
Yeah.
once again, I'm really thankful to you. Just on a short notice, you have agreed to give your wonderful talk, and it's really wonderful, and it will really help to students as well as to the faculty, that how we can interact with the industry and what is the criteria.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. Deepika ma'am, there are a few questions in the chat box, like if you would like to take up. What is the difference between IPR cell and Institutional Innovative Council with regard to objectives and composition? I though like not relevant to the talk, but would you like to take up?
Yeah, actually, it's very, it depends upon I don't think there is some particular definition for it. So I will be not able to answer it. You can give me your mail ID. I'll just search for it and I can revert to you on this.
Well, as per my knowledge, I would like to add to it. Like IPR cell is basically right from the conception of the idea and getting the patent infringement search, which is basically a department in any academic institute which looks for the patent filing as a legal cell, what your profile does. And in the case of the Institutional Innovative Council, it has some other activities along with that IPR policies for the innovation, like technology and other organizing the events for the enlightening the various areas. Ma'am, there is one more question.
Kumud ma'am, I would like to add to this.
Please.
That IPR is, you can say, is a subset of IIC, Institute Innovation Council. So IPR functions are aligned with IIC activities, but IIC has a broader role to play.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. There's another question, like, please explain easy way to overcome polymer cost and solubility of product in research. I didn't find this relevant to it.
Can you just repeat this question?
Yeah, please explain easy way to overcome the polymer cost and solubility of the product in research.
So you cannot reduce the polymer cost, because the polymer cost will be like, it is the innovator or whoever is marketing it. So you can just think of any alternate polymer which can, improve the solubility. You can see some marketed products, because when I used to do the research, I used to look into the marketed products wherein the solubility was improved. And I'm sure if there is some marketed product, they must have used some low cost polymer. So that ways you can use a low cost polymer. So there is no any way that in which you can, just reduce the cost of your polymer. As I again mentioned, that if you are using a high cost polymer, just see that you are able to capture a big market, not this niche market.
Okay, ma'am, I had a query which I had posted in chat box. Like you said that either the patent can be licensed or it can be transferred as assignment, giving the all rights.
Right.
So which fetches more money to the researcher?
The assignment, because when you are assigning the ownership, so it takes more. But I think for the university, it is more prestige. Like for IIT Delhi, it is more prestige that they have the patent in their name and then they license it to it. Because once you give the assignment to them, after 10 years, nobody will know that this particular technology was developed by this particular institute. So for the prestige and for, because we are not a business, we're not there for a business deals. So for us, the name of the institute is more important. So we usually go for a licensing. We don't go for the assignment. We agree for assignment in very rare cases.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. That was quite informative session. I would request you to kindly stop share the screen so that I can share the virtual certificate with you.
Yeah.
So this is just a floral bouquet. Kindly accept this, ma'am. And certificate of appreciation like for you as a resource person for this enlightening talk on nurturing innovation through technology transfer. We're really thankful to you for being on this board, and we would be mailing this certificate to you as well.
Thank you so
ma'am.
much.
Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Thank you. Somebody has raised their hands, I think.
Yeah, I'll just let me check, please. Yeah. Do we have so many query? Ma'am, there is a query that sole licensing is not a legal, ma'am. Can you please comment over this? What is compulsory license and what is very basic purpose? This is a question.
Compulsory licensing is a different thing. It is not technology transfer licensing. This is something which this is related to the patents, and it is usually done by the government of India. What happens that, for example, there is a one product, Sorafenib. You must be knowing that. That was the first compulsory licensing product. What happens that there is an innovator company, and that innovator company can, for the 4 years, you can have you can give your cost to the product because you have spent on the R&D. You can give your cost to the product. For Sorafenib case, what has happened that the cost was very high. It was affordable for the patients. It was not affordable. It was a very high cost product. The demand and supply was not met. It was not manufactured in India. That was not met. It was not. If it was affordable, it was not reached to the Indian market. So for that, the government of India thinks that that this is not safeguarding the patients. So they can give a compulsory licensing. For the compulsory licensing, the licensee has to approach to the patent office or a controller and say that they want a compulsory licensing for this case because the demand supply was not met and it is not affordable prices. So depending upon the court's discretion, the compulsory licensing will be given. That there was a NATCO who had actually applied for a compulsory licensing of Sorafenib because it was very costly product and it was not available to everyone. So for that, the Sorafenib, the compulsory licensing was given. So it goes to the court and then court decides the factors. So it is not this part, it is something else.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, ma'am. Like there are like compliments for you. Wonderful talk, informative session. And hope to see you someday like in physical also on our campus. Thanks a lot.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So moving towards the next session, we have our speaker, Mr. Tilak Lodh, Managing Director, Mobile Hospital Designers and Develop India Private Limited. I welcome you, sir. Lalit sir, I would request you, Preeti ma'am, to please make Tilak sir as co-host.
Ma'am, he is co-host now.
Yeah, okay, fine. Tilak sir, almost good afternoon, like just 2 minutes to go. Welcome you on this second session of the Impact Lecture session organized by IIC and sponsored by MOE AICT. We welcome you, sir. I hope I'm audible.
Yes. Good morning to you all.
Yeah. So before we proceed for his talk and interaction with the audiences, I would like to introduce Tilak sir to the audiences and the participants here. Mr. Tilak Lodh is an alumni of National Institute of Design, which is a reputed institute of the design placed in Ahmedabad, and he has done his master's in product design. He has over experience of 25 years in the medical manufacturing and marketing industry. He has been in medical product development and has applied design thinking process in Mobile Hospital Designers and Developers India Private Limited. In a short span of 12 years, he has made accomplishments. The company has been able to put a mark in the international market with business representation in over 10 countries and industry partner with DRDO in Mars for medical product design and development. His company produces emergency medical services which includes for disaster and preparedness and supplies to the international clients, including UN and World Health Organization. Some of his unique products sold worldwide are portable oxygen therapy unit, light surgery, and Paragard reactor species. And over to you, sir. Kindly take up the talk.
Yeah, I'm just a little confused about the video sharing portion. Are you able to see my screen? Hello?
So at the bottom, you can see a row, whereas a green sign, you can see share screen.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So there you can click and your presentation should be in minimized mode. Yes, sir.
It's
Kindly
coming?
put, yeah, it's coming. Please put on the presentation mode F5, sir.
Yeah, is that done?
Almost, yes. I'm just waiting. Chitra ma'am, could you see? I hope it's not visible.
No, ma'am, slide is not visible.
So can you please just stop share and reshare once again? It may sort out.
Second.
So if you allow me, shall I share it my side? I do have a presentation. If
no, ma'am, he was able to share. Let him retry.
Okay, fine.
It will be better.
जी बिल्कुल ठीक.
Only host. Who can share? Only host. Okay.
Sir, you can try sharing once. Yeah. Yes, sir. It's coming now.
Is it full screen?
Not actually. I mean, the screen has to be maximized. Though it is an F5, but it has to be maximized.
Ma'am, it can do. It's working well.
Fine.
Visible.
So please go ahead.
You can go ahead.
Yes, sir.
I think it would have been better if it had been, big. Anyway, that means it is coming on a small screen, right now?
But it's quite visible, sir.
But sir, you can, if you want, you can retry sharing.
Let me try retry.
Yeah.
Nothing?
Sir, F5 करना पड़ेगा. अभी full screen नहीं आ रहा. It's still on sorter mode. Yeah,
it's fine now. Yeah,
fine. Perfect.
On full screen?
Yes, sir. Good to go.
Okay. Now let's start. Basically, the talk that I'm going to do is basically called Design by Innovation. My credentials I have already been introduced of what I have been doing in the past many years. So I would straight away take you to the agenda at the moment. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Very well.
The agenda is what is design, what is innovation yesterday and today, innovation in India, and the innovation process, and the future of innovation. So these are the topics that I intend to cover in this small lecture that I have. I would like to elaborate a little bit on what had been told about me. I have been a designer all my life, but working for myself. I've got two companies. One is in healthcare and one is in the defense sector. And I create products for these two sectors, mainly through innovation and partly design. I would say innovation is the backbone of design, and I would explain how. Uh, the strength of my company is primarily because of its ability to give solutions to clients in a very short time. We don't need to copy from anybody. We don't need to, take design from anywhere. We create design purely from the brief that we get from the client. We analyze it, we define it, we ideate, we prototype, and we test. And that is where we make our final product. I'm just, to, create a little bit of interest, I will just show you, two small videos of the products that, we think are fairly innovative and nice. One of them is, as you can see on the screen, we call it the Oxyvan. Oxyvan is a vehicle. This product came out as a result of COVID. The COVID situation in India created the need to get a product which, caters to the need for the COVID patients. People came to me at a point of time. They said, we want to buy an ambulance. We want ambulances to take patients from place to another. I told them that at this point in time, the oxygen scarcity is so high that patients going in an ambulance really does not solve any purpose. They might as well go on a car. They can go in any other vehicle because the ambulance is not giving any additional value because it doesn't have the oxygen supply required. So I told one of my clients in Bangalore, why don't you make a van which gives oxygen to the patient? Make a van which can stand outside a hospital and cater to the so many patients who have been coming to the hospital and who don't get admission because of a large queue. They can access this vehicle, take the much needed oxygen support in the vehicle. The vehicle has two kinds of, the vehicle was designed in two particular types. One was oxygen while sitting and one was oxygen while lying down. So you have an ICU bed, two ICU bed on which you can lie down and take the oxygen and try and recover. The second one is basically chair car kind of a thing where you get uninterrupted oxygen supply from the vehicle. The vehicle has an oxygen generating system. It has got oxygen tanks. It also can be connected to the existing hospital oxygen supply system. So the idea was to park the vehicle outside the hospital, let people in as they wait for their turn to get into the get the admission. And so let me show you a video of this. So this is a mobile oxygen van. This is during its inauguration in Bangalore. It has got HEPA filtration here. It has got oxygen tanks. This was taken by a group called Parikrama, which is an NGO. All of you able to see the video?
Sorry, sir, the video is not visible.
Oh, oops. Is it to be shared or what?
Yeah, you if you go to screen share once again, there you will have a video share option, share sound and video.
You share. Okay. Is it coming now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is the oxygen van. You can see it's got a HEPA filtration system. It's got oxygen system. On the bottom, there are oxygen generators inside. You now can see it. Is the video visible? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's visible, but like though it is progressing slow, but yes, video is visible in the form of small clips.
This is as you enter the oxygen system. Here is the oxygen generator. There are 4 oxygen generators which are connected together onto a central pipeline, which is also connected to a gas supply system. So in case of a power failure, the gas supply system takes over. This is the room where you basically take the oxygen support, comfortable chairs, oxygen pendants at the back. On the left side, you can see the HEPA filtration system. So the area is continuously being cleaned. Yeah. So this is, so I've stopped sharing this particular screen. Let me go back to my original presentation. So the original presentation is back?
Yes, sir. Like again, it needs to be maximized.
Oops.
I'm an F5 port.
Done?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's fine.
Now I will take you to another product which is called the portable helipad. This was designed and developed for the Indian Army. They needed a portable system which could be taken anywhere, installed in a very short time, so that helicopters can land in remote locations where no existing helipads are there. Again, the video, I will again have to share it again, I think. Is it coming?
Now it has started, sir.
Yeah.
But I guess it's not moving. I mean, yeah, it is.
This is landing of the light helicopter, which is called the Dhruv, on the portable helipad. This was tested with 3 different types of helicopters. One was the the Dhruv, the Mi-17, and then the Chinook. This is the Mi-17 landing. It was landed. This is the Chinook. This is landing of the heaviest aircraft which the Indian Army has. To let you know, this portable helipad is made out of cloth, a kind of cloth which can take a very large amount of weight. It has a weight carrying capacity of 80 tons per square meter. It needs to withstand the large amount of downward force the rotor creates. This was trial of the helipad at a place called Mahajan in Rajasthan. So now we are back to the original screen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The basic introduction, whatever I showed you basically was to tell you what design and innovation can do. If you put your mind to doing something, you are able to achieve a particular goal. For example, the oxygen van was a product of COVID. It was completely need-based. Similarly, the helipad system also is need-based. There is no product in India which is similar. So design by innovation is a process of thinking, creating, and executing a plan to bring about a positive jump in the utility of the product. That is what has happened in the last two cases. And if a design is supported by innovation, then the product created is noticeable, likable, and highly usable. So let us now define what is design. Design is a process which has got many steps. It is a process of imagination. It is a process of creating objects, systems. It could be a building, it could be a vehicle. Basically, it is about creating solutions for people. On the right side, these are the various sub-stages of design that you can see: design brief, market analysis, brainstorming, ideation, visualization, concepts, arrangement, styling, creating something new, drawing, mock-types, prototypes. These are various aspects of design that one can get into later on. I'm not getting into in this particular lecture. And what is innovation? Innovation is almost very similar to the process of design, but the difference is that it is all about bringing a positive change, a betterment to the product. The same thing, the betterment to the product, whether it is a system, it is a building, a vehicle. It is about creating a solution which functions better for that particular product. And it is often extraordinary. Design is not often extraordinary. There's a two difference between that. Design can be a bad design. Design may not cater to the market segment it has been designed for. But when a product is already made, you are improving it by innovation. It is most often extraordinary. Some of the innovations around the world which changed the modern history and the world. One was the smartphone, which there is a set of technologies behind the smartphone. Many things have gone in, but the smartphone has become a common day-to-day use must, which one can't do without. It has got many technologies built into it, starting from camera to communication to web browsing to many things. Google is another platform which also was an extremely innovative platform. It basically, brought information to everybody. Information for all was the motto for Google. The internet obviously is, I think, the backbone of many of the technologies which we are using at this point in time, and which also was one of the revolutionary products. Amazon created a new way of buying things, which we could buy from our home. We didn't need to go to the market anymore, look around. We could see it in the comforts of our home and buy something. The YouTube basically gave everybody the flexibility of sharing videos, taking videos, giving information, talking about oneself, opening up to the world. Innovations that changed India. Now we need to get a little more specific to what is more useful for us. Mechanization of agriculture was one of the key things which affected the growth of India. The agriculture product, what we get today from the agricultural community. Second, water filtration. Water filtration at one point of time existed in a very different way. Today, most of people have some kind of a water filter in the house, because we are health conscious. We feel that good quality water definitely improves the whole body system. So we have water filters which are RO, microfilters, and now we have the Kenyan water, but they are all water processing and filtration system. Information technology was also one which actually originated from India, not the US. Fiber optics, space technology, and UPI payments, the payment gateways that we use at this point in time, the flexibility that we have from Paytm, the online banking, and the many things we take for granted at this point in time, is because of the UPI payment protocol. These are some of the things which have changed the way we live, the way we see things and move around today. And they are all part of innovation. Let us talk about a sunflower, which is nice, bright yellow in color. And we all know a sunflower is yellow. What if it was blue? It could be blue. Can it be blue? What if it could be red? What if the yellow sunflower would become purple? What will happen? These are some of the questions that we should ask when we try and evaluate a product. What if is the very important question that you need to ask to do any kind of innovation. You have a product, you need to ask the question, what if? However crazy the idea may be, the crazy idea about a purple sunflower is a crazy idea. It cannot exist, but you should not stop thinking. You should think of the craziest solution, craziest option. So the possibility of the sunflower in different colors could exist. What if? It is in the mind. If till you don't ask this question, what if this product can be improved? What if this product caters to the need in a much better way? So the key to any kind of innovation is to ask the question, what if we do this? What if this can be done? And that is the first stage of thinking out of the box. You need to think out of the box to be innovative. You need to be completely in peace of mind. You cannot think out of the box if you are preoccupied with the day-to-day problems in life, stress, so many things. To be creative, to be intuitive, to be innovative, you need to have a bit of peace of mind. You should have a lot of free time to think, sit and ponder and ask the questions which are out of the box. So I will take you to some points on how to improve a product. So as I said earlier, what if is one of the key questions. If you dare to ask, a lot of imaginative possibilities open up. Every great innovator had asked himself or herself the question, what if? Example, the Pizza Hut at a point asked, what if we bake the pizza with cheese in the crust? That was innovation. You have the cheese inside the crust, and that sold very well. So every innovative achievement is created twice. First, in the mind of the imaginator, the innovator, when he asks the question, what if? When he dares to think out of the box. And secondly, when it is finally implemented. That is when it is created twice. Imagination is a key that unlocks creativity. Creativity is the doorway to innovation and good design. Without being creative, you cannot be a good designer and think about design that improves the day-to-day activities. What if we could all ask this question, what if, to all the things that we do, or all the things that we want to improve? We should have a completely open mind. We should not allow ourselves to be influenced by preconceived notions. That is only when we will be able to innovate and think out of the box. It is very important. Thinking out of the box is another key to being creative and being innovative. A lot of engineers, why did the designers come into existence? Because engineers were trained to think in a particular way, to look at the world in a particular way. Very rarely did they think out of the box and different from what they studied and what they were programmed to look at. But here came the designer community, which was programmed to think everything from a different angle, not the way the product was originally created or conceived. They were to think completely out of the box from a perspective not originally intended. So what happens if we don't ask the question, what if? What will happen? It is surely a recipe for failure. You will trip and fall and you will be left behind. The world will move on and you will just stand there and see. Let me give you some examples. Failures. Kodak. It was producing films. It failed to see the coming of the digital media. It failed to see the change in the way people, the phone, the camera phone and things like that. It failed to do it. So Kodak could not keep up to the innovation and finally the company failed. Similarly, Nokia, BlackBerry, the Nerulas, which was so famous in Delhi, you hardly see it anymore. The Kingfisher, the MAN trucks, the number 2 trucks in the world which came into India did not survive. The Nano, the Bisleri, these are some of the companies which failed to innovate and got left behind. There are some companies, however, bounced back. One of them is Royal Enfield. Though it went bankrupt, went into oblivion, but today there is a great demand for the Enfield motorcycle because they innovated. They innovated and brought out a large range of products which the common man identified with, and they are selling fairly well. Sonodyne is a music company which also shut when the music company failed because of the coming of internet and things like that. But today they have again bounced back with a niche market catering to sound systems for the studios, high-end audiophile people, things like that. So the mantra to success are as follows. There are the 4 key points. Ideation. This is basically research and conception. You need to research the product that you're planning to improve. You need to understand what others are doing and how they are doing it, so that you are able to understand your level, where you stand, and how you can take it further. Project selection, willingness to invest. Innovation, design are expensive affairs. A company should be willing to invest in design because it costs money. Innovation cannot happen free of cost. You need to invest in prototyping, you need to invest in design, you need to invest in trial, you need to invest in many things, and you should be willing to do that. For example, the development of my helipad took me almost 40 to 50 lakhs of rupees. I was willing to invest, and I did it. And it is now under trials. So willingness to invest is one of the key important things for an industry to be able to tread on the path of design and innovation. Product development, building the product or service is definitely, as I said, part of investment. And commercialization. Once you have created the product based on the target segment, you should be able to commercialize the product, market it well based on the customer demand, customer segment. I will elaborate on these later, but in brief, these are the 4 points that are key to innovation. The process can be further broken down into 7 steps. The most important feeling that should be there with you is the wanting to change the world, the wanting to create something different, far better than what is existing. You need to feel that urge to do so. If you don't feel that urge to do so, you will never tread on the path of innovation. Secondly, you need to work out a short brief on what you want to do, working out a short innovation brief. For example, my company, my healthcare company, we have a small brief called saving lives. So everything geared is around saving lives, the betterment of a particular solution. Finally, saves life. The oxygen van system basically saves life. Let us talk about ambulances. You see in the road, you make a better ambulance with more features, more facilities, it helps in saving life. So you need to work out a small mantra of what your innovation should be like. And you need to work on it. Next is jumping to the next level and not just doing it better. This is when great innovation happens. You know, the thought of improving a product slightly is not innovation. It is just betterment, and it is a part of day-to-day activity. But innovation comes when actually you jump the curve. You know, you take a large leap, or you think of taking a large leap, and that is when innovation really happens. Like the camera which was a standard a box with which you could take a photograph, has jumped to the phone camera, which can do many things. You can share photographs, you can take pictures, you can take videos, you can do a video call. So there is a technological jump, though it is doing the same thing. The product should be complete, aesthetic. One important thing is, don't wait for technologies to evolve to better your product. Don't wait for any new technologies to come in. Okay, tomorrow there is, maybe in 6 months time we have a new technology which will better my product, so wait till then. Maybe it is too late. So don't wait for technologies to come that will better your product. Then the innovation will never happen. You need to be in the market at the right time and at the right place. Any innovation which is done early, then its actual usage time will fail. If it happens later, it still will fail. So the timing is very important. So don't wait, move forward. You can always keep on perfecting later on as the technologies keep on evolving. So, but your product should be complete. Any particular feature that you put in should be complete, so that the user who is using the product feels satisfied, feels nothing is missing. A good design is not visible. A good design is never visible to the user. They just enjoy using the product, which means it is a good design. Positioning the product is very important. And I said, as timing is important, not go early, not too late. Point number 5. So speed is very important. Point number 6, which I also just now said, don't make one perfect product. Don't think one perfect product that will solve all problems. Make models, keep changing it as per market demands. You keep improving the product, get new models, cater to the new segment. The process should be continuous. So don't wait to create the most ideal product, the ideal innovation. Do a great amount of innovation, get the product into the market. Based on the market feedback, the user response, you change and upgrade the product. So market through proper strategy and don't lose time. So the time, as I said earlier, is of great essence. Timing is all about the success and loss of a product, even though it might be a very good idea. I can just give you a small example, which most people would not know. 20 years to 15 years back, there were some companies who were making these plastic channels, these plastic channels, decorative channels, which can be put on the wall, connected to each other to create various kinds of design. They were, like sheets which lock into each other. But people who got into that particular segment did not survive. They had to close shop, sell the company. But today, 15 years later, it is a hot selling product. So maybe those people got the product right, but the timing was wrong. So it is all about timing the product, which is very key to the success of the product. So any product, once it is innovated, there are two things to it. There is something which you add to it is called value, and which you add is uniqueness. So where should you stand? A good innovation is something where the product has good value and also unique. If your product is unique and does not have value for money, it will not sell. If it is all value and does not have uniqueness, it will still not sell. So you need to be somewhere where it is balanced, where the product is got certain amount of uniqueness and it is also value for money. Let me talk about a bit about Atmanirbhar India, which is a scheme that has been floated by the present government. The Atmanirbhar India, as I see it, can only be achieved through innovation and not invention. Invention does not happen every day. Innovation does. The idea of making things in India can only be done when a company decides to innovate and ideate and create the product locally. So willingness to invest in the opportunity given by the government, willingness to work as a team with design thinkers, willingness to take the channel challenge and believe in it, and believing in oneself. It is important to believe that I can do it. I can is very important. If you are unsure, if you are not confident, then the process of innovation gets derailed. I would like to put three different areas which I personally am passionate about, and where a lot of innovation can happen. One is healthcare, one is education, and one is the defense sector. These are the three areas where the Indian industry can do a lot, and a lot of scope exists for innovation, design, new products, and things like that. I can talk about a lot of them. Now, it is important for a company to form a team to be able to create a product and take it to the market. In case it is not that everybody needs to be creative, everybody should have the creative ability. But if a person can ask what if and wants to take it further, then we have four people who are key to the development process. The entrepreneur who is willing to ask the question, what if? A design incubation cell now being promoted by the government and many institutions, where they help you nurture the idea, take it to the next level through the help of expert advice, intervention of designer and innovator. And finally, we have the buyer, which is in the last. Quite often, one interacts also with the buyer to understand what they need. So it is a combination of these four different people that actually create an innovative product. And that is a process that the industry partner should, industry entrepreneur should take if they don't have the ability in-house. I will almost sum up the thing. We have something called a high altitude shelter project for the Indian Army. This is called man portable shelter for high altitude. A lot of people are doing shelters for the Indian Army. A lot of people are making structures which are put in remote locations. One of the key things that we felt and was told is that they are not able to take it to fully inhabitable places, rough terrains where vehicles don't go. They would like to carry a shelter system by hand and assemble it locally. So we have created something called high altitude, shelter system, which can work in -50 degrees centigrade to plus 60 degree centigrade. It has got a total weight of 800 kgs for one container, but the smallest component does not weigh. The biggest component, I would say, does not weigh more than 30 to 35 kgs, and it can be carried by one person. It is modular and expandable. It can be expanded lengthwise, widthwise, and on the height. Can create a 3-story building with this. If you're interested, I can show you a video of how this thing works, but I don't know if the time permits or not.
Yes, sir, very much. We can go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Yeah?
We can go ahead with the video, sir. It's interesting.
Oh, 1 second. Well, just give me a minute. I'll just try and take it. One minute, let me try and share. Wait, I'm not able to share the screen.
Sorry, sir. Sir, again in screen share, you go to video sharing option.
Okay, 1 second.
And then probably read it.
Is it coming now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it's coming.
Okay, here we go. These are containers which are packed. 4 containers are packed and occupies the same space as a single container. This is the truck version. This is taken on the truck. It also can be dismantled and taken on by hand. This is one single unit. This all goes folded. This is being tested in Doklam. They join together one after another on the sides, on lengthwise. This is how it looks after they are joined together. It can go vertical up to 3 stories. This is how it looks after they are joined on vertically. This is how one can join them, various permutations and combinations. You stack them on top of each other and you have a 3-storied building. So this is how the system, which is called the habitable shelters, we had designed, and different from what others do. This am I back to the original screen now?
Yes, sir. It is on slide sorter mode, sir. Full
Okay,
screen
let me
nahi hai.
just- Now on the normal mode. Now it's okay.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
Yeah. So this is one of the shelter system that I'm talking about. This is innovation has created existing product which looks similar, to a product which is more usable, portable, and now can be carried to completely remote locations. That if you see the hill at the back, you can take it on top of that also. We already showed you the helipad, the photograph, the video. So the portable helipad is for landing army helicopters in remote regions. It can be set up in 120 minutes. Should be capable of landing the Chinook. Chinook is the largest army helicopter. This I already have shown you, so I'm not showing it again. Now we talk about stage, 1, 2, 3 of the product. The portable helipad that we did, we call it the mat, which can take almost 80 tons per square meter. It has other applications. We tried them for something else, and we realized that can be used as portable roads. Portable roads for the army trucks and tanks in icy, sandy, slippery, and broken roads due to avalanches. I will just show you a small video, an example of what it means. Sorry for the thing. I'm trying to share the screen.
No issues, sir.
Is it coming now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you see the truck?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let me play the truck. See, this is a truck which is slipping on the sandy soil. It's a 4x4 truck, which is not even able to move in this sandy desert soil. It is getting stuck. See, all the 4 wheels are moving, it is slipping. You can see that the foldable thing at the back being carried, this small white thing. Now we have laid the same, cloth on the ground at the same place where it could not move earlier. Below the cloth, you already have the depressions and the dugout mud, but you see now the vehicle. Can you see how the thing moves smoothly forward?
Yes, sir.
So this particular product, which we created as a helipad, has other purposes also. So with a little bit of innovation, you create secondary product from the primary one, and we can now create many iterations of the same product with minor modifications, and the applications are completely different. You can see how the truck moved so smoothly across the place where it was getting stuck before. So this can be laid on sand, it can be laid on snow, it can be laid on ice. Like in Uttaranchal, wherever there is a landslide and people need to clear the road, they don't need to remake the road completely. Just by clearing the road and laying out this thing, they can move across, using this. So this is one of the interesting offshoots of innovation that we did for portable helipads. So we call them portable roads. This is again, various kind of shelter systems that we have designed and made for the Indian Army for use in high altitude and very cold climates. So I would like to say, as a summary, anyone with an open mind can become an innovator and a designer. You need to be aware of a little bit of technologies or take support from experts. Devote time to get involved, push for this, and don't think of making money. If you start with thinking of making money, you will never complete the innovation process successfully. If your product is innovative, if your product becomes good, if it jumps to the next level, then automatically you will make money. Thank you. That is what I wanted to present. I hope it has been a little bit informative. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No wonders. That was very informative session. Your mantra from the technology by design, from ideation to project selection to product development and commercialization. I hope it is giving insight to all the participants here. And with this, I would request our group director, ma'am, Dr. Vanda Arora Sethi, and President ISE to say a few words. She has just joined amidst her busy schedule. Please, ma'am.
Hi, Dr. Kumar. Thank you. And sorry, I couldn't be here before. We are having our orientation for management students, and so a lot of visitors from industry are here. But thank you for reminding me and getting me here. I could just hear the last bit of Mr. Tilaknath's work, what he has been doing, and sir, commendable. Thank you for joining us today. I'm sure all the participants have benefited immensely from your share of knowledge. And also I was going through the work that you've done on your site and the kind of technology that you're working on. That is, I think, the need of the hour, and everybody needs to understand, and especially the healthcare professionals and students in pharmaceutical technology, faculty as well, that we need to open up our mind to multidisciplinary learning. If we just restrict ourselves to learning of our pharmaceutical technology and physics, chemistry, and pharmacology, anatomy, and such subjects, then we will be restricted to a very particular field of working in the industry. Whereas technology is what we need to understand. And in fact, it's a very recent development at Lloyd as well. In fact, today we have SME from IBM visiting us for our management orientation. And what I was discussing with him is also that we need to teach to the student about data analytics to be used in the drug discovery process. And in fact, I have been learning analytics from some time now, and I realized that all the complicated Excel sheets that we prepared during our MPharm and PhD time as well can be simplified so much by using the analytics tool pack on Excel, which many of us are not aware of. You know, how quickly we can draw the bar charts and how to calculate standard deviation, because so much testing is required during our development process as well, that is during our research work. But because we have not been taught so during our bachelor's and during our master's time, that we really stay behind the industry. So for the students, I would really suggest that and for the faculty as well, that we must necessarily update ourselves on technology. Whatever type of technology helps us and our students into making life simple. So for example, if we have a huge data with us and we have to analyze the data, we cannot sit for hours and do it. Rather, if we know the technology, which tool to apply, and automatically the results appear. Like calculation of standard deviations or means, averages, and confidence in intervals, whatever we need for our research work as well, immediately appears. So multidisciplinary learning is the need of the hour. And we've also seen it, in medical technology, how Mr. Tilaknath has been telling about it. And also because I was briefed about Ms. Deepika's talk as well. So, coming from an IIT and then getting into this field and whatever she has shared in her presentation, I'm sure it is going to help all the participants of this program and all the faculty coordinators, Dr. Kumud and the team behind her, the technology team who is doing it week after week, these programs. I'm sure somewhere it is going to hit and help all the participants and all of us. So thank you very much, Mr. Tilak, for joining us. And thank you, Ms. Deepika as well, who's not here in the webinar till now. And thank you, Kumud, for coordinating.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. And sir, on behalf of my entire team members, Dr. Chitra Gupta, Dr. Lalit Tyagi, IT team supported by Preeti ma'am and Renuka, I would like to thank you. Your work has really been incredible, and the contribution to the Indian Army, International Military, and the medical services you are providing. So we're really lucky to have you today on the board. And I would just take just one more second to share my screen. Though this is very minute thing, but still I would like to acknowledge your presence here. This is a virtual bouquet on your way, and the certificate of appreciation from Lloyd Institute of Management Technology. It has been really wonderful to hear your words, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Kumud ma'am, we need to make announcements.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'll just do that. So there's an announcement for the participants. We are sharing the feedback form link as well as the assessment quiz link in the chat box as well as through mail. You all are supposed to attempt both the things. You have to attempt the quiz, which consists of 10 questions, multiple choice questions, and the feedback form, which need to be submitted so that you are entitled to the